Yes, you're muted.
Yeah, I think we are live right now. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, and also good evening from different parts of the world. You are welcome to Hotspot International Scholarship Forum webinar series. So today we are going to have another section of our webinar series, which will be Marie Sklodowska Curie Action PhD Fellowship, which is one of the PhD fellowship in Europe. So you are all welcome to today's section. And also we have a great scholar among us here, in which is going to be the person to paddle us through the kernel of this PhD fellowship. So the name of our guest is Kingsley Ibeabuchi. I'll just try to, okay. We have our webinar agenda, but before I go through the webinar agenda, I'm going just to talk about the brief profile of our guest speaker. Our guest speaker is a highly accomplished researcher and a scholar. He's currently serving as an industrial doctoral research in Germany, working under the prestigious Marie Curie Action Project. His primary research interests involve plant breeding, functional genomics, bioinformatics, and technology, seed technology, and transcriptomics. Our scholar is earned his bachelor degree in plant biology from the renowned University of Ilorin in 2018. He also had won the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. That is, he pursued a double master degree in plant molecular biology and plant breeding from Swedish University of Agricultural Science in Sweden and Ege University in Turkey, respectively. During his master studies, Kingsley conducted his thesis project at the University of Göttingen in Germany. He will also be a register as a PhD student at the University of Göttingen. Beyond his academic pursuit, Kingsley is passionate about guiding and mentoring students in the career path and securing scholarship, such as the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, Commonwealth Scholarship, and different scholarship in different parts of the world. He is actively shared scholarship opportunities and position, particularly on professional networking platform such as LinkedIn. In his spare time, Kingsley enjoys in hobbies such as reading, listening to music, going to the gym, and cycling. With his broad knowledge and experts in plant biology, Kingsley aims to make significant contribution to the field of plant breeding and genomics. So that's just the brief profile of our scholar today. So you are welcome, sir. And also we have the webinar agenda. So today, for today's webinar, the following are the agenda we are going to adopt. The first one is that we are going to talk about the Marie Curie Action Fellowship, its main and target group, and also why study in the Europe, the what of fellowship and duration of the scholarship, what are the different programs under this fellowship, and the application material for this fellowship, the key features of the motivation letter and CV used for this application, and tips on submitting a strong application, and also tips on how to pass the interview section if you are shortlisted for this interview. And the last part, we are going to talk about the question and answer section. So the scholar is going to have the floor right now. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate. And also, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. And good evening, everyone. And thank you for having me. So, without further ado, I would love to um, progress to the main topic of the day. So, I will really talk about the Marie Sklodowska Curie Action MSCA, also known as MSCA Research Fellowship, which is named after the great researcher and double or two-time Nobel Prize laureate Marie Curie. So the first, Okay, this is okay. The first introduction will be to what is the Marie Curie Action Research Fellowship. I don't know. This is it me or the slide is not so clear?
I
Huh?
think the slide you have two sections. One is not really showing very well.
Because the way I designed it was not exactly this color. But anyways, I'll continue. I'm sorry for the blurry text. So, okay, the first thing is what is the Marie Sklodowska Curie Action Research Fellowship? It's actually the European Union flagship funding program for doctoral education and postdoctoral training of researchers. Although you can also have some projects where exchange staffs and professors are also funded, which projects of these professors are also funded. It involves research collaboration between the academia and then the industry. And it supports the mobility of researchers, which is also a very important aspect of the fellowship. So you have to really travel to different locations to conduct your research. So this project also supports the mobility of researchers. Now there are different so we have the doctoral network, which basically funds PhD candidates. We have the postdoctoral fellowship for postdocs. We have the staff exchange, which is more like collaboration between staff from different universities coming together, or exchange, like name implies, staff exchange for to carry out project. And also we have the co-fund where a university and also the EU fund a particular project. And then the last one, we have the MSCA, or the project for citizens of Europe. So for the sake of today's presentation, I'll be focusing on the doctoral network for mostly for PhD students. So as we progress, I'll share a link where you can also find more information about these different actions. So under the doctoral network, there are two types of doctorate. We have one, the industrial doctorate, which is the one I'm currently on. So it trains candidates for the industry. So then you have with academic collaboration. So at the end of the day, I'll be registered as a PhD student in a university, but I'm basically stationed in the industry. So I'll also have to go to, like next year, I'll also have to go to Ireland to be in the lab for a couple of months. Then the second one, we have the joint doctorate, where you'll be registered as a PhD student in two universities, and then there is joint supervision from these different universities. And at the end of the day, you can be two or more. At the end of the day, you have multiple degrees from these different universities you're registered in. So now, what makes you eligible? So how can you be eligible for this doctoral network program? First, you must hold a master's degree in a relevant subject. And of course, that is very important. And secondly, candidates should not have been awarded a doctoral degree yet. So you must not have had a PhD degree before application. So if you have that, that will really disqualify you from applying. And the next one is candidate must not apply in a country different from where they have lived for most of the past 3 years. So this means in the last 3 years, any country where you have lived for most, you cannot apply for an MSCA program in that country. So let's take, for instance, the last 3 years, I lived 2 years in Sweden. I'm not eligible to apply for an MSCA in Sweden. Then the last one is researchers should not have lived or worked in a host country for over 12 months within 3 years before recruitment. So of course you have a host country, a country that's like for instance, mine is in Germany. So if I'm going to apply for Germany, I'm the last 3 years, I must not have spent over 12 months in Germany. So if I have spent over 12 months in Germany, then I will no longer be eligible to apply for the MSCA action. Oh my God. Okay, this is really uh okay. The slide I have here is not this blurry, actually. I don't know why it's blurry here. Okay, so I'll just sorry, is it possible for me to share directly like my PowerPoint? Is it
Um,
possible?
yes, it's also possible. Just
So possible.
go directly to
Can I
same
share my
process you
screen?
used. Yeah, yeah, same process you used.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No.
Uh, Okay, I think I'm not allowed to share my screen, I guess.
Could you
Okay,
send
maybe
it
I'll
to me?
just because
Could you send it to me so I'll help you to
on WhatsApp?
yeah,
No,
that
I
should
don't.
okay, let me see.
Okay, sorry about
Share
this.
screen.
The slide I had was not. I'm coming.
Could you try to share again? Share the screen. I'll share through this share screen again.
My screen?
Yeah. Try use
Okay.
the functionality again.
Then I'm opening. Still not. So there's no. I'm not allowed to share the screen, I think. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think now I can. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I'm doing that now. Just open it and then I'll add it to the screen. Just open the PowerPoint. Yeah, good.
Can you see my
Yes.
screen now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very clear now, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
very clear.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So the first one. So I'll talk about. Sorry for the initial. It was not so clear. So now I will talk about the research. So I've gotten these questions like, what do you mean by research profile? So to apply for an MSCA project, you have to really know what your research profile is. So first one, we have the R1. So the R1 is the researchers with up to master's degree. So you are trying to apply for a PhD. So you're an R1 or first stage researcher. So when you go when you want to apply for a PhD, you always see where they say profile. Do you want to apply as an R1 or R2? So R1 is basically those who are applying for PhD positions. Then the next one, we have the R2 or the recognized researchers. So these are those with already a PhD. They already have PhDs, but then they're not fully independent. So these are basically those who are looking for postdoctoral positions. So if you're an R2 researcher, you already have a PhD, but now you're applying you want to gain more experience with doing research. So you can apply as an R2 researcher. And the next one, we have the R3. So those were already some level of postdoc or from some level of research experiences. So you've been a postdoc for like 3 years or a couple of years. So you're already an established researcher. You've published some number of articles or some number of research paper. So already an R3. So you can apply as an R3 researcher when you're applying for an MSCA fund. Then the last one, we have the R4 or leading researcher. These are like PIs, those who have their research group already. So you can also apply for MSCA fund as leading researcher to fund their research. So this is basically the research profile. But for today, I'll be focusing more on the first stage researchers or the R1 researcher, those who are applying for a PhD position. So if you want more information, in the end of the session, I'm going to share the PDF format of this presentation. Then you can visit this link for more information about this research profile descriptors. Now, the next one is the benefits. So what exactly is the benefit of the MSCA and Doctoral Network program? The first one, you have a job contract of 3 years. So a research employment contract for 3 years. In few cases, you have up to 4 years, but in many cases, you have 3 years job contract. Then the next one, your gross salary. So you are paid a living allowance for approximately 3,400 per month. And then you also have a mobility allowance of about 600 euros per month. So every month you have 600 euros per month. And then for the married ones, well, unfortunately, I'm not married yet, but for the married ones, you have extra 500 euros approximately every month. So for support your family. And then this is what you get as a group. And then your net salary basically is you have like what we call the CCC or country correction coefficient. So this is basically applied to only the living allowance. So it's like depending on the country where you are residing or your host country, you have a correction coefficient because some countries are more expensive than the others. So take for instance now you have in Germany the DE. So what basically is happening here is the country coefficient will be multiplied by your living allowance and divided by 100. Then you have at the end of the day, you added to your mobility allowance and then also your family support, then minus your taxes. Of course, you'll be taxed. So at the end of the day, you get a net salary. So Sweden now basically has a higher country correction coefficient because Sweden, of course, is more expensive. Generally, the Nordic countries have higher pay because it's more expensive. And then you have, so the net salary basically vary depending on your country of your host country. So now the second benefit, why the MSCA action, apart from the juicy offer, the another thing you have to also consider is, one, at the end of the day, you enjoy both academic and industry experiences. This is so beautiful. This is one part of the MSCA that is very nice because in one consortium, a particular consortium for doctoral network, most courses is made up of university and company. So due to the mobility, you end up spending some months in an industry. And those who are already in industry will end up spending some months in the academia. So it's like very nice combination, you know. And the next one, of course, you enjoy international research projects. Usually the MSCA programs are usually very well structured. So at the end of the day, you end up doing top-notch research projects. So it's one thing I really recommend. It's a very nice initiative, you know, by the EU to fund high, you know, or very top project. Of course, you have a Schengen visa. So with this, you're allowed to, you can travel across Europe. Every month you have a mobility cost. So you enjoy, if you decide, oh, after a week, some weeks, oh, I'm tired of research. I want to enjoy my time. I want to travel out. I want to enjoy. So you have, of course, you have funding for that. And you also have visa, Schengen visa for that. So you can travel across Europe if you enjoy traveling. Of course, better career opportunity. Usually these kind of projects, you know, prepare you for the future, for your future career. So at the end of the day, you have this in your CV and it prepares you for a better career in the future. So this is also another benefit of the MSCA. It's a highly prestigious fellowship in Europe. And of course, networking and collaboration. Part of the project or part of this action involves going for conferences, going for seminars, and meeting people from different fields or from different research fields, from different those who are carrying out different research projects. So you collaborate, you network with people, exchange number, exchange contact. So this is actually a very beautiful thing about the MSCA action program. Then lastly, what I'm going to mention is that you'll be given a research employment. So you're no longer a student, you'll be treated as a researcher, as an employee. So you'll basically be issued a work visa. So that's also the beauty of it. So when you're an MSCA fellow, you'll be basically be employed and not really a student per se. So you'll be given a work, of course you pay your taxes and all. So you are basically on a work visa. So now how then do you apply? So basically the Eurasys portal is where you find all the available programs. So I'm going to demonstrate how you go through or how you navigate this Eurasys portal. So here I've attached the link for the homepage. Okay, link for the homepage and also link for the Eurasys portal. But how do you access the Eurasys portal from the homepage? Basically, you click on jobs. And when you click on jobs, you have this portal. This is basically the Eurasys portal. It takes you to Eurasys portal where you have list of now here you have 10,000 jobs or programs available. So here you can navigate through and see which one you want to apply for, which one fits your interest. On the left side here, you can see filter. So you can filter based on like keywords. Let's say there's a particular topic you're looking for, the country of interest, your research program, your research profile. Of course, you choose R1 if you're applying for a PhD. So here you see we have over 157 research fields that you can, ranging from engineering, from acoustics, from 3D modeling to agricultural sciences, plant biology, chemistry, and so on and so forth. So I'm basically going to demonstrate this for a few seconds or a few minutes, just so you can have a feeling of how this portal works. So can you see my screen? Please just, can you see
Yes.
my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
So here, this is how the home page
Yes.
looks like, basically. So this is the home page. Okay. So in order to access, here you can see the different options. So if you want to know more about the MSCA, you can read through about the MSCA, the guidelines on supervision, and so on and so forth. Here, the different actions, like I mentioned, doctoral network, the postdoctoral fellowship, the staff exchange, the co-fund, the MSCA citizens, and how to apply. So this is basically like if you want to know more. But what is most interesting I want to show you is applying for a PhD. So basically, when you click on the jobs, let me go back again. So when you click on jobs, here you have the Eurasys portal where you have lists of different programs, okay? So you can decide to filter on this place. So you can decide to choose the keywords you're interested in, your research profile, like I mentioned, R1, R2. You're an R1 researcher if you're looking for a PhD, the sector, and so on and so forth, the research field of interest. If it's agriculture, you're looking for chemistry, you have biochemistry, there's a lot of them here. So you can click and choose the one you're looking for and filter. So at the end of the day, you have something like this. So I'll just demonstrate. For instance, let's look at this one now, PhD in protein science. So one thing I'm just going to mention is in a particular MSCA project, you can have different positions. So let's say take EpiSeedLink, for instance, I'm doing. In EpiSeedLink, there are 11 available positions under the EpiSeedLink project. Now, the EpiSeedLink project had a particular objective, understanding the genetic and epigenetic mechanism of seed priming. Now, each fellow or each topic under this project, 11 of them, is like different arms of that whole picture. So we have different topics you have to work on. At the end of the day, we combine all our results to achieve the bigger aim. So many MSCA fellowship are also like that. You have different topics under a particular MSCA action project. So I'll just take this one, for instance, PhD position in protein science. So when you click open, you have a page like this appears. So here you can see the organization company, which is Uppsala University, stationed in Sweden. So if you have lived 12 months in Sweden, over 12 months in Sweden for the past 3 years, you cannot apply for this position. If you don't have a master's degree in this topic, such as research field, biological sciences, chemistry, medical sciences, you're not eligible to apply. So here it's a full-time job. So down here you can see the project description. So you can read through the project description, okay? Then after that, you go down, you see the requirements, okay? Biological science, master degree or equivalent, chemistry, and so on and so forth. Then here you have the workstation in Sweden, Uppsala in Sweden. So if you don't want to apply, maybe if you find this very interesting and you want to apply, you can just click on this link. So most of them are usually like that. So it's as simple as that to navigate through this Erasmus portal. So that's how you can easily navigate through the portal and then apply for your specific project of interest. So I'm going to share this slide eventually so you can have access to the links and the Erasmus portal if you want. And the next one is the big question. How do I make my application stand out? How do I make my application, or how do we make our application stand out? So I'm basically going to give you my own tips. So this is strictly my own tips. So you can have any other tip if you want, but this is what I stick to when I want to apply for a project or for a position. So one thing is I'll talk to you what you need to consider before application, during application, and after application. So the first thing before application, this is a very generic thing, like you of course get all your necessary application documents ready. You need from your international passport, your academic transcript, your motivation letter or statement of purpose, your certificates, English proficiency. So in this case, for me, I didn't need to submit this because I've already my master's program was in Europe, so I was exempted from this. But if you need to submit this, you have to really get it as soon as you can. One beautiful thing I have to mention is that unlike many other PhD programs, the MSCA action runs throughout the whole year. So it runs throughout the whole year. You can apply, just keep checking every day. So every day you can go and check and see which program you want to apply for. So it runs throughout the whole year. Then you have your CV in Europass format, your recommendation letter, and your list of publication. Now the next one is before application, what you should consider. What are your research interests? This is a very important question you have to ask yourself. What are your research interests? You have to really answer this question. Secondly, are you eligible? So are you eligible to apply for this particular position? You have to check so that you don't apply and at the end of the day you get rejected. Then what are the objectives of this project you're applying for? You really have to read through the project description to know what the objective of the program and see if they align with your research interest. Then your clear motivation for applying for a PhD to start with. Why do you want to go for a PhD? Do you have a clear motivation? And why that specific MSCA project? Why not just any other project? Why that one? So you have to answer before you start applying. And why the MSCA? Now, why MSCA and not a regular PhD? Why do you want to apply for a project that has very high mobility? You have to travel from one place to another. What is your motivation for applying for such a project? So you really have to really understand these questions. Then the next one, during application, when you're writing your SOP, clearly outline your motivation for applying. Is very important. They really want to see. So after answering the question, then you have to put it into writing. So you have to clearly outline your motivation for applying. You have to ensure that before you do that, read the project description. So what I usually also advise is, in the body of your SOP, write in a body of SOP, write a research you must have done before and how this sparked your interest in that project, or how it aligns, how you want to continue in the future with this. Or even if you have a new interest, state why that new interest, or what spawned that new interest. So again, your application must align with the project objective. And your CV should be well constructed. What should your CV contain? For example, in your bio, your name, your address, your email address, your phone number, and maybe your LinkedIn profile, whatever profile you want to add is enough. Some people begin to add religion, gender, nationality. These things are not so important, but I feel like just if you are to contact you, if you have it in your CV, it's really enough. Then your education. So your education should contain the name of your program, the start date and the end date, probably your thesis title, and if you want to add your school where you finished, and then your CGPA, your final CGPA, if you want to add that. Usually, I also recommend that. So clearly outline those things in Europass format. Well, because of time, I won't be able to go through the Europass format, but I would maybe also share the link later with the organizers of this program, so that you can have a look on how to, construct an Europass CV, because that's not really the major point of the day. So statement of purpose, I'll just go through this as fast as I can. I don't know if I have enough time. Okay. So the first one is I've mentioned this, your interest and motivation. Relevant achievement. So not mentioning everything you've achieved, but what you think is important for that position. What do you think you've achieved in the past that will be useful for that project, Then clearly state your career plans. A lot of people don't include this. Your short term, in the next 3 to 5 years, where do you see yourself? Then long term, 10 years, 15 years, what do you see yourself doing? Clearly state that, and clearly state how this project really help you to achieve that. If you have already some research, you can outline a brief about your research experience, your leadership of volunteers, and then what you hope to gain from the program. And also what you hope to gain, how you intend to contribute, and also your post-study plan. After that, what you hope to use this knowledge for in the future. This, I think it's very nice to include in your SOP. Then during application, when you're now done writing and everything, you can request for proofreading. Sometimes you need a second eye to see what you've written. Sometimes you overlook some things. Send this to people who help you proofread. Oh, how do you feel? What was the first impression when you read through my motivation? When you saw my CV, what was your first impression? You need to answer this. Let's be open to constructive criticism. Let people tell you, okay, you need to work on this, you need to work on that. And before you submit your application, ensure your application is complete before you submit. I've seen cases where people submit and forget, oh, I forgot to attach my this in the application. Always double check before you submit. And this is just my own personal recommendation. I prefer to submit 2 days before the deadline. I mean, latest 2 days. If I'm able to submit earlier, good and fine. But latest 2 days. I don't like submitting on the deadline or a day before. I'm usually scared about, maybe you have a lot of traffic in the just me, my personal preference to submit at, 2 days before the deadline of the application. Then after application, if you're a believer, pray. Then take adequate rest. And also constantly check your mails, because of course you always get mails, oh, you're invited for an interview, and be optimistic. This is just like a general experience, a general advice. Then what is now most important? Okay, hooray, you'll be selected for an interview. You've been called for an interview. I'm going to use my own personal experience to address this. Now you've been called for an interview. How then do you address, or how then do you present yourself in the interview? So usually for PhD interview, you'll be asked to present a research work you've done. Okay. So now the first thing is, what are the interview questions like? So many interview questions, they really want to know if you are ready. So why do you want to do a PhD? Oh, why this topic? Oh, why this project? When you face difficulty in your research, how do you intend to solve this problem? How do you relate with people in your lab? How do you plan your week? Okay? So these are very common interview questions. Then the thing you have to, how do I address these questions? So now, why do you want to do a PhD? You really have to know that going for a PhD is not an easy feat. There's a lot of frustration attached, a lot of hard work, a lot of, at some point, you feel like you want to give up. But then you also have to like, okay, you are somebody who we are really interested in research. You want to contribute to knowledge. You really want to be part of, you really want, there's a problem you want to solve. Okay. You saw this problem, you feel like, I want to contribute, I want to solve this problem. And I feel like being a part of this project will help me solve this problem. It's always been my goal, my desire to solve this problem. I'm perfect. I found this project that will help me solve this problem. How do you plan your week? To be able to do a PhD, you need to really plan. Because if you don't plan your experiments, at some point you'll be hooked. So you need to clearly like, okay, in a week, I have a goal I want to achieve for that week. So I plan my experiment according to that goal. How do you, and usually documentation. Oh, I document whatever I do in the lab so that when I see a problem and I want to troubleshoot, this is what I use to troubleshoot. Why the MSCA project? Oh, of course, I love traveling. It involves a lot of mobility. For me, it's something that aligns with what I love doing. So it's more basically doing what I love doing while doing research. So these are different ways you can address these questions. Attitude. Some people open, like we open up this thing and then we're not really, we are sometimes we can be timid or shy because of like the selection committee. They are also humans and they are also very friendly. When they open this, they are usually very friendly. They smile back. So you have to like reciprocate that nice gesture. Be calm, be friendly, wear a nice smile. It's usually very recommended. And also be confident, but don't be overconfident. Don't be overly confident. Just maintain a minimal level of confidence. So when you speak, try to be somewhat confident. And then time management. So when you are asked questions, be concise with your answers. Hit the nail on the head. Don't start saying brrr, and then you've not even given that. So be concise with your answers. And also for presentation. So presentation, especially for the Marie Curie project. So usually it should contain like your intro. Let's say you want to present a research, an intro of your research, like background knowledge, background of the research, and then the questions you aim to answer, the research questions, and then go straight to the result. Because in most cases, you have 10 to 15 minutes to present. So max, you can have like maybe present like 6 to 8 slides. So introduction, research question, and then go straight to your results. Oh, relevant result, important result. Don't present everything you have, important results, and then discussing your results. So when you're done, you discuss your result and probably a conclusion from everything, and then future experiment. Now, some people ask me, what of the methodology? Of course, you can put the methodology in supplementary slides. So that after the whole presentation, then you ask question. Because in my case, I had 3 interviews. The first one was basically general PhD interview, why the PhD, why this topic and all. The second one was basically to present the research work I've done. Okay. And at the end of the day, you'll be asked questions based on this research work. And the last one was basically maybe like to reaffirm your skills and all. So this is one in many PhD interviews that going to face. So you can put maybe your methodology or additional result in supplementary slides. So when you are asked questions at the end of the presentation, you can refer to those slides. Okay, yeah, I had this slide. You can then explain. Then at the end of the day, you'll be asked, oh, do you have any question for the panel? Some people say, no, it's all good, it's fine. I don't really recommend that. Or at least have 2 or 3 questions for a selection panel. This helps them to know that you have interest in this project. Oh, okay, will I be allowed to publish? Oh, and when should I be expecting a feedback and stuff like that? Okay, this is actually very, very important to ask, and so on and so forth. This is just example. And then practice. Before the interview, practice. Especially for presentation, you have to practice and practice and practice. At the end of the day, hopefully you get the position. You just have to know it's a really very, very competitive process. So you have to be well prepared and be ready and motivated to apply. So the last slide I have here is basically after application, after selection. Hooray, you've been selected. So what next? So usually you'll be asked to accept the offer. So of course you'll have an email, or if okay, you'll be selected for this project, you want to accept the offer. Then if you accept the offer, they tell you you have to start with your visa application. Your contract will be arranged for you to apply for your visa. You apply for the visa, and next you have to apply for PhD admission. So, and then also your health insurance at the end of the day, because you need the health insurance for this. So these are the next steps to do after I've accepted your offer. And I think having said this is basically all I have for today. And I don't know if I am still on time. And if you want to connect with me, I've also added my LinkedIn profile. Please feel free to connect. And I wish you all the best in your future applications. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm open to questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Scholar Kingsley, for the very great lecture. We really
Yeah.
appreciate your support and very insightful lecture. So right now we'll be going through the question and answer section. Please, if you have any question you want to ask Scholar Kingsley, you can kindly drop it on our comment section. And also we have some list of questions right now. The first question is, do MSCA application involve application fee?
Okay. Thank you very much for this question. The answer is no. You don't need any. I mean, the MSCA itself does not require you to pay any application fee. If you have any application fee, perhaps maybe the school or whatever, but the project itself does not require an application fee. So as far as I know, you do not need to pay, and so it's very free. So you don't need to consider, oh, I have money to pay, so it's free, so you can apply. So there's
Okay.
no, yeah.
Second question is, I have I have a sound academic background and some level of research experience. This quality gave me a strength to attempt to about 5 scholarship under the MSc scholarship recently. Importantly, all the scholarship I applied spanned within the area of my research interest, where I developed some research experience and contributed to the science through publication in reputable journals. Unfortunately, I was not opportune to proceed to the next stage of the screening process from any of the opportunities I applied. My question are, what is the most important factor the scholarship committee prioritize in the selection process?
Okay. Thank you very much for this question. And I would say, first, I'm really sorry that this had to happen. But now, the first thing I would say is, I've also had situation where some people they get to a lot of interview stages, and at the end of the day, they don't finally get selected. I also have those who have applied once and they get selected. Now, the thing is, know your strength. Sometimes you might have these things, but then you're not presenting in the right way. Now, also, I would not say what's the most important factor, but I'm just going to tell you that some of the things that you have to show is number one. Now, I mentioned in my presentation that really, so when you read through the program or the project objective, you will get insight what they are looking for, the kind of candidate they are looking for. Sometimes they'll tell you, oh, what we are looking for. Usually, there's no particular yardstick, but then there are some things you really have to like acquire. Now, the first thing is, are you motivated to take up that PhD? Are you really motivated? You must have maybe applied for a lot. Okay, for me personally, I didn't have an application, a publication when I applied. I didn't have a publication basically. But then I was really, really like very research oriented. Okay, I wanted to do research. All right. So when during the interview or the application process, I had a clear vision of what I want, and I was also able to tell them that this is what I want, and this is how I believe it fits with the program objective. So it's more like owning that project as your own. So have a clear motivation for applying is very important. Secondly, your skills. Do you think your skills are enough to take up that project? If not, are you willing to learn? Have you started the learning process? Because sometimes when you start a PhD, especially for this kind of project that is like very short, 3 years, so you may not have enough time to start learning. So maybe when you see this thing, oh, you say, okay, I want this thing, and these are the skills they want. For me, I started learning there's some things I didn't know how to do. So I started learning those things. And then I told them, okay, I've started learning this thing. In fact, I can show you what I already have. Because I really want to be part of this thing, be part of this project. So sometimes you also have to really, if you are really an eligible candidate, and again, sometimes it's not as if you're not qualified. Sometimes you are very qualified, but then the pool, there might be someone who is more qualified. Okay. Sometimes I don't feel bad. Sometimes you are very qualified, but someone might just be more qualified than you are. So sometimes you have everything it takes to get this position, but these are some of the reasons, But always look at what they're looking at for in a candidate. So most time they list them in the application portal what we want in a candidate. And when you are, it might just be beyond publication. It might be something more. So when you're applying, always like always align your application to to tick all the boxes for what they want in a candidate. That's just my own suggestion or my own advice.
Okay, let's go to question number 3. My BSc grade is 4.13 on the scale of 5, while my MSc grade is 4.17. Please, I want to know if both grade are good enough to apply for MSCA PhD fellowship.
Hmm. Well, as far as I know, I have never seen anywhere where, I mean, where a grade is like, stated like you must have from this to this, from this to this. I have not seen. So I can't really specifically answer these questions, like if these grades are good or not. But one thing I also have to advise is sometimes when you're applying for a position, look beyond your grades. Typically, some people might have low CGPA, but they are wonderful researchers. Some people who have low CGPA, but they're even more motivated than those with extremely high CGPAs. Look beyond your CGPA. Although it's usually sometimes when you apply, it gives the selection committee an impression. Oh, he's an intelligent candidate. Oh, but if you have other experiences to buffer, yes, okay, I have this low CGPA, but I have top-notch publications. I have a lot of volunteering. I've been involved in, I've taken up a lot of courses. There are things you can even use to even impress the selection committee. I've attended conferences. I've been first author in such an amount of paper. I have had several poster presentations. Sometimes look beyond your grade. In as much as the grade is important to apply, but it's not just all about the grade. So that's what I would tell you. I don't want to, don't be discouraged. Build your profile, and I assure you because I have never seen anywhere, as far as I know, that grade is like, oh, you have to have such amount of grade. If there is, I don't know, but I've not seen yet. So they always tell you, look beyond your grade. You might be better than you think you are. Okay, that's just my own simple advice.
Okay, another thing is that can we have a platform whereby we can be mentored on the application process and how to write winning proposals?
Okay, I don't know if that question is meant for me or for
I think it's not.
HISM. Yeah, but I'm just going to say, but I can just I'm just going to say sometimes I take up like one or sometimes when I have free time, people come to my inbox. I just try one or two just to help them guide them through. But there's just a number I can take at a time. Okay. So I also try to help with this, but not all the time. So just, yeah.
Okay.
So if there are anyone available, probably we could I'll link them to you if you're
Yeah, if
available
I
for
have
that.
time, definitely I will look into your
Okay, okay,
application. It's
that's
not a
fine
problem. So
then.
it's all about
Yeah.
like having, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Standardized English. Okay. A standardized English test score such as TOEFL or IELTS compulsory? Also, must one have a publication to apply? I think you have answered the second question, but this
Yeah.
person is talking about standardized test.
So usually one I would say perhaps program specific. Some schools, for instance, before you can apply for a PhD in a school, they will tell you they need you to submit an English proficiency exam. So it might be just beyond the consortium. For me, I didn't need to submit it. Okay, my education was in Europe, even in Nigeria too. There are so many schools where Nigerians are exempted from these standardized tests. Okay, or from some countries to aside. So from different countries you're exempted. So this case can be really one program specific, and some schools too do not really require this. Some, although it will be good, it will be nice to submit if you can. Sometimes it also helps to boost your application. So if you can, I recommend submit it. But about being very compulsory, I am not very sure. But yeah, if you can, it's nice. If you have the money and you really want to take it to test your English skill, please go ahead and submit.
Okay. The sixth question is, what format can I make use of to prepare a convincing CV, cover letter, motivation letter, and the document expected to included on the other section in the case of opportunities to be filled on Google Form? Lastly, I would love to get the contact of Kingsley for essay review and guide on my next application. Thank you very much.
Okay, let me what format can I use? Can I make use of to prepare a convincing CV? So I've mentioned it is briefly in my presentation. I think so. The Europass format, and so I usually recommend for CV not more than 3 pages, between 2 to 3 pages. So yeah, for me personally, I prefer not more than 3 pages. And also, I mentioned it like Europass format for MSCA is very important. So you have to submit an Europass format and like short bio, your education, your work experience, your skills, your achievements, your awards, if you have any, your conferences you've attended, your list of publication. Some MSCA program will require you to submit list of publications. Okay, some it's like one of the important thing you have to know. You have to submit list of publications. Okay, sometimes you can also have one that you're currently writing. For instance, I'm currently working on one. I'm currently working on this one, basically. So, man, it's also good to include that. And then cover letter. For me, in my own case, the cover letter was not required. So again, this thing depends on the consortium. Some basic. So for me, cover letter wasn't required. What was basically required was the motivation letter. And like I've mentioned in our SOP, I've mentioned in my presentation what you need to include in your SOP personally. And yeah, when you're writing your SOP, always ensure this is called the motivation letter. Can you just go back? Yeah, and the document expected to include on the other section. For other section, it depends. If you can, maybe some certificates of, let's say, conference you've attended, if you want to, or something you think will help your application. So you have to add that to the other sections. And if you want my contact, of course, you can reach me out on LinkedIn. It's fine. We can talk later if maybe next week if possible. So yeah.
Okay, the seventh question. How should I prepare a research proposal or expose for MSc application? I would like to know the expected contents.
Okay. So yeah, I've heard cases where for a particular MSCA you need to submit a research proposal. So generally, I would say this based on my own experiences. So for research proposal, you have to write an intro, of course, and then secondly, the hypothesis you want to test. an intro, background knowledge, or background of the research or whatever, then the hypothesis you want to test. Next, maybe in the first paragraph, you have your aim, the aim of the research. Then second, clearly the methods you want to use to achieve this aim. So this, like, write the method and describe it. So describe each method. Okay. So after describing each method, the next one is, and you, of course, you have to write why you're using each method. The next one, your expected results. So from this method, these are the results I'm expecting. I usually add expected result and interpretation. Oh, this is what I have. This is what maybe a brief how I would really write my own research proposal, you know, if I want, and it shouldn't be so long. For an application, I don't think it should go more than 3 pages for research proposal. It shouldn't be very long. And yeah, I would like to do, I think this is basically what I would recommend.
Okay. The next question, where can I see updates information about different MSCA PhD scholarship opportunity?
The URAXS portal, I said that. So the URAXS portal is where you have all the lists. So, and it runs throughout the whole year. So you can always keep checking as much every day.
Okay. Another question is MSc open to social science and humanity graduates?
Yes, yes. So if you go to the research field, social science is also one of them. So it's also open for those who are in the social. I mean, there's like over 150 research fields. So you can go there and filter, and then you can see some. But mind you, sometimes this page every day gets updated. So maybe today you don't see any position, check back tomorrow. Hopefully you see tomorrow. Next, when I was searching to some days ago, I don't see anyone related to agriculture or plant sciences. I have to wait. Oh, next day I check again. Is there anyone? Refresh the field. You have to just keep checking every day. So they update this page every day. So yeah, I wish you all the best.
We still have some questions, please. Another question is that I have BSc in fishery, that's 2-1, and 2 publication. Which advice can you give me? Please, mentor. I think the person is
BSc Fishery 2-1 and
yeah,
2.
with 2
Does
publications.
the person have an MSc? I
The
don't know
person
if the
did not
person is
indicate
online.
it.
For Marie Curie, you need an MSc because it's a PhD project, a PhD program, so you need an MSc. It's not like direct from BSc. So if you have an MSc with 2 publication, then I think you are eligible to apply. And again, look beyond your CGPA. It's not just all about CGPA, okay? You have other strength that you can bring forward and say, okay, this is what I have. This is how I can be useful to you in this project. This is how I can contribute. So always look beyond your CGPA.
Okay. Another question is can someone in animal science background apply for the fellowship? I just finished my master in Nigeria.
Sure, there are fundings for also animals. It's part of the project, the EU fund. So they also fund projects under the animal science, under animal sciences. So you can always apply. So all you need to do is go to the URAXS portal, filter. You can just select animal sciences. Okay. So instead of you going through the 10,000 programs you have, just filter animal sciences, R1 position, R1 research. You can even put the keyword if you want. Just type in the keyword in the blank space and then search. So it will filter out everything related to animal science, and you can choose what you want. Okay, this is what I can apply for. This is what I can apply for. I like this. I don't like this. So you can always filter out, and you see also there are also positions for animal sciences.
Okay. Do they prioritize Erasmus Mundus scholar more for the MSc scholarship? Another question.
Okay, so I'm going to really answer this one. I don't want to say, okay, now prioritizing is not, so the fact that you're an Erasmus scholar gives you a little edge because you are used to traveling and studying. A lot of people, like they feel like, oh, you're Erasmus, you should get, you can apply as an Erasmus, you still not get it.
Sure.
Because what the idea is, if you know how to show, it was one of the things I said. I chose Erasmus because I enjoy traveling and I did a master's program where I can travel and also study. I have the liberty to travel if I want to travel. And I also want to enjoy a doctorate program where I will also be able to enjoy the same benefit, you know. So when you say prioritize, not really prioritize, it's just about you, like you already have an edge because you are used to that style of doing research, traveling from one place to another, and studying. In this case, it's almost so you already have that experience. So if you know how to portray this during the interview or the application phase, it's good and fine. So it's not about prioritizing. It's about you like saying like, oh, you already have this experience. But don't like also remember that you can apply as an Erasmus scholar and still not get it. So don't say because I'm an Erasmus scholar, I should definitely get it. The only thing is that as an Erasmus scholar, you have an edge because you're already used to the system. So that's what I would say.
Okay, another question is that are married MSCA fellows allowed to travel with their families?
Definitely. That's why you have family costs. So if you are married, if you're a married researcher, of course in fact it's usually, and that's also the beauty of this MSCA because they also consider married couple. They also support family. So if you are married, you also be paid more every month. Like I mentioned, 500 euros every month to support your family. You can also apply for visa to bring your family over. So it's very family friendly, and it's one of the beauty of this fellowship. So of course, if you are married, in fact you earn more than the single folks. So yeah, it's good to be married and do it, and.
Okay,
Yeah.
another this person has that the last time I tried to use Europass format for my CV, I noticed there were a lot of spaces below each pages, which I could not edit. Is there a way to deal with the spaces between the Erasmus or Europass CV format?
So I mean, usually that's I know this situation when you put directly into the Europass, then you have a lot of spaces. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I I have never really thought about managing the spaces. I just put what is important in, and then I print out my. I don't know how to edit that because it's like an online platform where you just put your details and you can then download your CV. Also, if you can manually design, if you're very good with graphics and you can manually design an Europass format, just follow the. It's not necessary you use that CV, the CV maker or whatever. If you can follow the templates and then design it manually if you're very good with graphics and design and graphic design and something like that. So you can design it manually, but just follow the templates. So follow the Europass templates, and that's what is important.
Okay,
So
I
yeah,
want to ask
I
a
don't know.
question also. For a person that is still doing his or her master degree and is yet to have a full transcript for his master degree, can the person try to apply for the MSCA fellowship?
Okay. So that I am not very sure about, but usually, if you check through, they usually prefer you to already have a master's degree, basically. So if you already have a master's degree, in my own case, I applied with a complete transcript. So I wouldn't know if you can apply with half, because one of the requirements is have a master's degree. In the application stage, they will not necessarily ask you for a certificate, but usually they ask for complete transcripts. So I wouldn't necessarily know if you can apply with half transcripts, but in my own case, my own personal, I applied with full transcript for my two universities. And also I was already done with my master's thesis defense as well. So I think it's I don't know, to be on the safer side, I would really recommend to submit a complete transcript so that your application doesn't get rejected. So yeah, so I wouldn't really know, but I know that for sure I apply with complete transcript.
Okay, thank you very much. I think
You're
we don't
welcome.
really have any question again. Okay,
I
okay.
hope I didn't take so much time.
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
okay. I was trying to like be conscious of time. I don't know if I went too fast or something, but yeah.
Everything is fine.
I mean, if there's any
So,
other question, they can always reach out to me if you want to know more.
okay. So thank you very much, Scholar Kingsley, for this great, insightful lecture. We are very grateful for your kind support.
You're very
May Almighty
welcome.
God be with you throughout your
Amen.
PhD journey and grant you the best and grant you
Thank
all
you very
your
much.
desire. Thank you very much. And
I
also
thank
to
you.
our listener, we are very grateful for attending today's webinar. Please don't forget to subscribe and share with friends and family, and also try to follow us on HISF on YouTube. Our YouTube page is youtube.com/@HISF. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Also, you can also follow us on Twitter. Also, we have our website, HISF. You can also search for our website. Also, we have different WhatsApp platform in which if you want to join HISF, you can message or mail one of the admin. They are going to ask for the requirements in which you can join HISF and try to be among the community. So we are very grateful for your kind support. Please kindly help us to subscribe to this channel. So see you later for another edition of this our great webinar. So thank you all for joining this section. Ciao.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you
Bye.
for inviting me.
Thanks, Scholar Kingsley, for
Thank
being
you.
a part of the session. Yeah, we
You're most
continue in the
welcome.
WhatsApp group. Okay.
Oh, that's a pleasure. Thank you.
Alright, thank you very much, and
Yeah.
thanks also to our moderator.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right,
Okay.
thanks.
Mm.